Hey everybody, welcome back. This episode we're going to be talking about a little game called Light Crusader. It was nominated by Jay-Z Bad Blood on iTunes, so we had to do it. But we don't mind doing it. It was developed by Treasure. It was published by Sega for the Genesis. Earliest release date appears to be the United States, May 25th, 1995. So it's a pretty late Genesis game. Who's with me to talk about this one?
I'm Bobinator.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm the Great Klaid.
Never heard of him. Yeah, Light Crusader. I mean, as I just said, like every time I say it's a Treasure developed game, I feel like that doesn't seem, it's not that it doesn't seem right because the game's not like high quality or high polish. It just doesn't seem like a game that Treasure would make.
Until you start playing it. And then it's like, oh yeah, no, this is totally Treasure.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff in it, but you know what I mean? Like it just like, I don't know, like Bob, you said something funny about this earlier, right? About how it's like...
Yeah. What I said was, it feels like a bunch of random people who are really into computer RPGs came to Treasure one night while everybody was sleeping, and they just made a game with their computers, and when everybody else woke up, the game was just there, fully formed.
It's
like,
not wrong.
It's like the boss, the Cacho, fell asleep or something, and they're like, oh, now's our chance to work on Light Crusader. The game that's kind of like the Immortal meets Zelda
good.
Or Landstalker.
It's like
Point is, this is
good.
Like the most untreasured game Treasure has ever done, I would say, except maybe the Tiny Toons games.
No, those are super Treasure-y. They're just like, they just are like the most American possible IP. This one, though, it's about a guy. So let's talk about Landstalker. Like, what's the or not Landstalker? There, I didn't get Light Crusader. So the story of Light Crusader is you're a guy who's been summoned to a thing.
Well, the great thing is, like, at least in English, you're going on a holiday. Like, you're some knight, and I think King Arthur or whatever is like, you're working too hard. Go on vacation. And you're like, cool. I'm gonna go through a long cutscene where I ride slowly to my vacation.
You look sort of like David Lee Roth or something in a breastplate, and your name is Sir David, I think. And, yeah. I
mean, look, it sounds silly, but, like, knights had regular, biblical names, like David, right? Like, that's perfectly reasonable. Yeah. No, it's nothing weird. Like, it's just, the thing is like, you get summoned to this place by the king, I guess, and, he's like, Sir David, I know of a castle where the floor is 80% spikes. You must go there, And, yeah, so it's like an isometric game. It does, if you you just see a still screenshot of it, and it's not like a crazy boss fight, you would think, oh, this looks like a sequel to The Immortal. It really does. Like, it's a very, like, Western, like, D&D monster manual style artwork.
The portraits are, like, super, like, they feel like digitized of, like, Western, like, something like EA would have done in the 80s. Like...
Yeah, everything about it just feels like they were trying to put out something different for the Japanese market. Like, although it was released here first, I just feel like, I could be completely wrong about this. This is pure conjecture, but I think that, like, it seems like they're like, this is something that will be different for, like, the Mega Drive owners who want something like, it'll be like, one of our games, but it'll just be different looking enough that it'll be, but it'll,
It does strike,
and they deliver.
It does strike me as like a Mega Drive game between the isometric, the slightly Western aesthetic, the extreme violence, like...
Yeah, like The Mortal, it has like beheadings and stuff. It's not like gory, at least I don't remember it being that way, but...
It doesn't have the like squick that The Immortal has, but...
No. It sure surprised me, like... You just start whacking a zombie, it just suddenly just flies in half. You don't expect that.
Well, because you fight some like orcs or something in the beginning, their heads just like start like they just fly off in like a perfect like tail, like top spin or something, like just like their head is just spinning as it goes to the ground, as if they were.
You can't do that. It's cool.
I don't know. Every time I cut off someone's head, it just kind of falls off.
Well, it takes a lot of practice, Xerxes. Come on.
I don't have that kind of time. I've got people to kill, places to go. So,
you should go on holiday.
Yeah,
this is getting stupid.
So like,
oh really?
The thing about this one is it's basically you have like a town that works exactly like an RPG town. Like it's just an RPG town. There's nothing else going on really there. Like you got stores and you can buy things and you can chat to the people in the town. And then you basically just go into the game's dungeon, and then you just go to the dungeon, do some stuff, leave the dungeon, to recover, and then go back in. And it's just kind of like back and forth, I believe.
Very dungeon crawler-esque, really. Like,
is there only one dungeon that just keeps going?
Yep.
I can't remember. Is the dungeon right beneath the town somehow? Like,
Yep.
so it's truly dungeon crawler logic here, where it's like,
wait, when
yes,
did Diablo
we have built our
come out?
town atop this hellish
Yeah,
maze.
it was like 96, like a year after.
Okay, I was thinking it was like right about the same time because it's also in the graveyard in this game. So
Right, well, so this game, they don't even seem to know that there is a giant, sprawling, labyrinthian dungeon underneath their town of, like, cows. Like,
yeah,
they just, like, people are disappearing. We don't get it. What's going on?
That's another thing from Diablo. You can interact with cows.
Yep, that's a cow, all right.
Clearly, Blizzard are a bunch of hacks who stole liberally from this game. We should call them out.
Yeah,
let's do it now. I'm sure they're listening.
Actually, there's some... Well, screw Blizzard. Actually, didn't I call them out?
Just wait. The next thing they're going to do, they're going to be like announcing their next big game, and it's a Light Crusader port to the iPhone. And people will their heads will explode in two places.
And it's got an Easter egg saying, "We heard you, Bob, Xerxes, and Cal."
Yeah.
And the other guy.
So, what I like about this one, though, is that there's, like, this weird, like, sense of humor in parts of this game. Like, you can meet a lady who's playing a piano, and she's like, "You want to hear my piano music?" And so
Yes.
you say yes, because you're like, all right. And whereas, I guess with a SNES game, you'd get some nice synthesized samples of piano. Instead, it's just blah, 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 blah. And she just
And then
sucks
she
at the
tells you,
piano.
yeah, sorry, I actually suck.
Yeah, it's great. I'm not being great at hiding this, but I really like this game because it started out and I'm like, oh, this is isometric and oh, it sounds like it's going to be this big, sprawling, long, dumb thing. And then, well, I mean, sort of, but then the game's like, oh,
long.
It's a long game. Yeah, I wish I could have gotten more into it. But then the game, and then you're just kind of like, oh, here's a dungeon. Just play this dungeon forever. I'm like, yay.
Yeah,
It's too bad. Yeah.
it never really breaks that. It's an interesting thing. Like, you've got your map, which this game uses only 3 buttons plus the start button, because it's still a Mega Drive game. I'm a little surprised it didn't try and do a 6-button thing, because around 95, they were pretty happy to just kind of nudge you and say, please just get the 6-button controller.
Look, they had to hurry up before the boss woke up. So it's like, you don't have to.
Well, that's why it came out in 95.
The boss fell asleep on their 6-button controller. He's on the controls like, we can't, dare we take it out from underneath them? Do we have something to replace it with?
They only have one for the dev kit, damn it.
Well, it's a small operation.
I just like the idea that that's the reason it came out in 95, because they had to keep doing it at night, and they're like, we got 20 minutes to work on this game.
Yeah, somebody played the Immortal in like 1991, and it was like, we've got
Like, that's
to
the
do
thing
this.
about this one, though, right? It super feels like a 1991, like, gameplay-wise, like, the graphics and everything that it pushes in terms of the actual system, it's totally a 1995 late release, but
Yeah.
the actual feel is pretty old school. But it's got stuff like sort of proper physics, like you've got puzzles where you push things around and they...
Yeah.
Proper, get out of here.
Yeah,
Well,
this game-
Yeah.
You write
sorry.
proper physics for the Sega Mega Drive, Mr. Smarty Pants.
Well,
If you touch something and it moves, that's physics.
And then it can
by Mega
fall
Drive
from a
standards.
height to a lower height. That's pretty impressive.
Okay, fine, but I've got platforms going over my head that apparently I can't walk underneath.
See, here's the problem, okay? The physics are not the problem. The physics combined with the isometric perspective is the problem.
Although, that said, the platforming in this game isn't god-awful.
You've got a shadow, so it works all right.
One more
Yeah,
tangent
it's-
real quick. I want to make real quick.
If your isometric game doesn't have shadows, it's instantaneously, immediately terrible. There's just no
Does
way.
3D Blast have shadows?
What?
Does 3D Blast, Sonic, does that have
I'm
shadows?
pretty sure
Yeah,
it
it does.
Right.
Can I make
This
a
game
tangent
controls a
real quick, though?
lot better, so...
Yeah. So we should talk about like a little bit more about what the gameplay's like, because so far we've just said it's
Real quick,
isometric and confusing.
While we're talking about physics, I want to make one tangent real quick. I love how you can, like, push, like, anything around, even, like, NPCs.
Right, yeah.
Yes!
Stack them on top of each other if you want to, and that just really amused me.
It's great. So it's like Zelda. You got a bunch of puzzles and encounters in one room, and they don't do anything else in another room.
It's like an action RPG with like 70% less RPG. You know, like it's not really an RPG. It's more like it's like if Zelda was just one dungeon after another, but you could like leave the dungeon and heal up and then go back in.
And it's actually really easy to leave the dungeon because there's basically a warp point that your save points allow you to warp back to the town. So
right.
You don't even
like
have
Etrian Odyssey type. Yeah. But it really is like an action game. It's like not really like a reflex action game. It's more like a figure out the...
Yeah, it's like methodical. Like, you've got your enemies and they're like, I'm gonna stand here and then swing my hammer. And you're like, okay, so I don't stand there when they're swinging their hammer and then I come back and I hit them.
Oh, yeah. So that's where I sort of came to really love this game. Because you don't die fast, and that feels really, really good. I was thinking about this the whole time I played it. I still couldn't figure out how to put it into words. It's forgiving. It's really nice for a Mega Drive game with a weird isometric perspective.
Given that isometrics games are kind of notable for usually just being mean as hell, I'd say this one goes out of its way to be generous, like including,
and
it automatically consumes consumable health items.
And it does it intelligently, as far as I could tell. Like, it wouldn't just, like, munch everything in a line. It was like, oh, okay, you lost a little health, so we'll use your little item. And, oh, you're almost a lot of health, so let's use the big item.
Yeah, it's not like you get a paper cut and you're like, I'm wolfing down this hoagie. It's an emergency.
How do you heal your paper cuts?
Like, fit in there.
But, and it's not overly easy, though, either. I mean...
I would say no. Yeah, no, it is not.
But,
it's a treasure game, and treasure games, this is one of the treasure elements. Treasure games are like, here is the boss, here is the puzzle. Do what we want you to do, and you will find it totally doable. But if you refuse to engage what we want you to do, you're gonna get lost. Like that.
Yeah. The dragon at the beginning of the game. Not to spoil too much, but there's a dragon in the RPG. Like, he was totally like, okay, this is where you have to pay attention because this whole area is just going to kill you. If you stand right here, it's like, oh, okay, I got this figured out after dying 3 times. Sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's got stuff like you collect items like Zelda style, sort of, but your attacks are pretty bland. Like, I don't think there's that much variation in them.
Well, so what they do
you got like a jump attack.
Yeah.
Which is cool as hell.
Your kit is your kit. You start with your sword and and you get to like upgrade your sword so it does more damage and that kind of thing. I guess the chief gimmick, which we'll definitely have to mention, is because the guy that was in charge of the treasure power-up system was, sleepwalked in and accidentally wrote it into the game. It has like the exact same power-up system that Gunstar Hero has, except taken up a notch. You've got...
And the same icons.
Yeah.
I noticed that and I was like, hey... That's what that treasure logo was at the beginning.
Smart reuse there. Yeah, so you got your, like, whatever, your fire and stuff, and your traditional video game elements.
Isn't there a character? I'm thinking, like, there's probably more Ultima influence in this than we've probably recognized yet. But isn't one of the characters named actually Garriott?
Yeah, I think so.
Who was that? I don't think I met him.
I would probably have thought it was an old-timey name and just totally glossed over it. But.
Well, yeah, I know.
Ultima was popular enough. I mean, I think.
I think you're right. I think that they probably did look at it. I would have read the name Garriott and went, "Yep, that's an old-timey name." I would have.
Yeah, it may have just been Garriott though. I kind of think I know what he's talking about, but yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It explains the portraits now that I think
there's
about
a lot
it.
of Western influence in it. There's no doubt about that aspect.
And there's also, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Time travel.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
So what I'll say, because the game basically, it's pretty. I'd say it's almost tepid. It's got that kind of isometric dryness where it's a lot of the same dungeon with a lot of the same enemies over and over for about 2 to 3 hours. I think the tile set changes once or twice. And then suddenly it's like, and now you gotta go to all the different places, and suddenly the game starts throwing you to a bunch of crazy places for like less than 20 minutes each.
Yeah, you go to medieval Japan, you fight magic ninjas, you teleport.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to finish this.
And it just throws you into all these places. The plot does kind of tell you why, but it's just pretty clear that someone at Treasure must have been like, we gotta put more in. Like, I don't know, they go above and beyond. That's something you always can say about the Treasure games is, they never shortchange you. They're always like, we could do more, and so they did.
My thing,
and then you
with
fight
the game
a tank.
Is
a tank.
That is true.
Just a tank. It's from like Desert Storm. It's a tank with a sword.
My problem with the game is that I really kind of enjoyed what I played, at least the idea of it, but anytime there's a physics puzzle, I feel like the perspective just gets in the way too much for it to be enjoyable.
I mean, it also gets in the way of the boss fights and certain boss fights. Like, look, so, like, because it's an isometric game, you've got to have, like, floating tiles that come at you, and they're, like, tile-shaped things, and they swirl around, and you've got to, like, be in the middle of their, you know, they come at you in sine wave patterns. And it's really hard to tell where those tiles actually are. Is it in front of you? Is it behind you? I don't know, but you were just hit by it.
I love all the sine waves and stuff, because you can totally see that they were able to write, you know, like sine waves or, like little, like, curve generators or something, and they were like, yes! Yeah, it's going in! Put in the sine wave.
Maybe it's the kids of the Treasure guys that were making a game.
They cracked the code for the sine waves right after they figured out the pulsating orb algorithm.
It's a lot of pulsating orbs and balls.
A lot of trembling, quivering, pulsating balls everywhere.
I could see if AGDQ covered this game, because they love orbs.
Because, yeah, like, and that's one thing that I really liked about this one, is that it was full of balls. And I love Balls, the video game by PF Magic, and that's great.
I know someone's going to clip that.
We all love Balls, the video game by PF Magic.
You know, because that really brings it back to straddling the ball centipede, because this basically is a ball centipede in this game, and we haven't had a ball centipede themed video game in a while. But
there's also a scorpion made out of balls, a genie made out of balls.
The dragon has
it's got like ball legs and stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's got ball legs,
like tiny little balls.
I actually think the whole body is, but
it's pretty good, because it means that they animate quite interestingly, and they don't mess around. Like, there's like a giant spider boss that's huge by like the standards of the platform.
Even one of the first bosses you fight, which is this kind of weird, like, it's another quivering mass, you know, that rises
there's a
from
few
the
quivering
floor.
masses in this,
has
with all the
gigantic pores that sprout purple ball strands and fireballs and and a big like eyeball like topper, and you can jump on top of it. I mean, what's like the thing? Smack like, the eyeball on the top.
Like, is it tryptophobia or whatever? Trypophobia? You know, where there's like
the fear of falling?
No, the thing with like people who can't stand like holes. That's the thing. It's like a really common phobia. This game's full of that. It's got like a lot of just masses that have like things going in and out of them. It's like, it's a bit...
Oh yeah, what's going on there?
Silent Hill 0.
Oddly enough, like a cat would love that boss. They would go, like if you just brought in a giant cat, just the stuff going peeking in and out of the little holes, they'd be like,
oh man, you just reminded me another non sequitur about this game I want to bring up.
The ninjas drop baguettes.
Find the cat shop. Part.
I found the cat shop. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, I did. Man, this game's got so much stuff in it.
Because it's like really got a sense of humor to it, which is really odd. Yeah. Because, you go into the cat
Best game of all time.
And the cat just meows at you. And if you try and take its stuff, it meows at you and yells at you. But it'll buy stuff off you. And it'll pay for it.
Oh, I never realized that part.
Yeah, no, like it has a usage. It'll buy your item, but it won't sell you its fish. The fish are not for sale, as far as I know.
Yeah. Like, it's totally a Genesis RPG because it's big and doesn't explain things very well. But man, it's
not an RPG.
It's really
okay. Fine. It's a Genesis swords and sorcery game.
It's such an odd one. Like I don't love playing the game, to be perfectly honest, because I don't enjoy the combat like that much, and the physics puzzles and most of the puzzles. Once you've solved like 6 or 7 of them, you really don't need to solve any more. You know, you've solved the puzzles. But they keep going, and you keep saving people in distress, which they have a lot of art drawn as well. Like, people tied up with tentacles, people tied up on the floor. Anyway, it's an interesting one, and I can understand why this one came out in 95, and why it's not like one that people kind of really go back to that much, or it's not like part of Treasure's.
It's an expensive cartridge, though. It's hard to, at least it was.
I was gonna ask. I've never heard of this game prior to seeing it on the list. So.
Yeah, I always get it confused with Crusader of Senti, which I feel like I've bought used twice thinking it was this game. I'm like, oh, that game's rare. I should snatch it while I have the chance. No.
Crusader of Senti is pretty good, though. Between Crusader of Senti and Landstalker, I can never remember this game. Like, between those two games.
You can buy this game new for $50. Huh.
But I will finish with the I didn't actually say that you get to mix and match your magic. I was almost finished with that sentence.
Oh yeah.
But it's actually really cool because you basically you can mix the 4 elements together in different ways and it produces 12-ish unique magics or something, which is pretty cool because you got you can shoot swords and you can throw fireballs and explosions and obviously healing magic and stuff, and it's pretty clever. Like, it's one of the more interesting aspects of the game as presented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Play it.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
It looks like a loose cart of Light Crusader can be gotten for about $9, $10.
And it's on the Steam thing, I think, too.
It came in a cardboard box, so good luck finding it with that.
Well,
those pop-up boxes are like $1 billion.
Yeah, you'll never get that. But I kind of like it because then it gives me an excuse. Like, I don't have to get the clamshell. Like, I can, you could buy an aftermarket clamshell for this. That'd probably be better. Yeah. So let's rank it. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's great. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. Like, I admire the game. Like, I'm glad it's, if I had played it when it was new, I probably would have loved it.
Can I say I think it's better than Landstalker? That's for sure.
I agree with you, actually, because the boss battles alone are so over the top that's
the kind of Zelda-y. Is that Landstalker was? I think I've played a little Landstalker.
So the thing about Landstalker is I think this game does the isometric sort of dungeon fighting game better. It does a much better job of that kind of gameplay. I think it's
it might be one of my favorite isometric console games ever. So
like it does push quite hard to be a good isometric combat game. It makes sense that Treasure of all companies were like, I reckon we can make an isometric combat game. We can get there. I think it falls short, but it's one of my favorite, I guess, attempts at getting it right, because it almost does.
I'm gonna finish this game one of these days, I promise.
And it doesn't shortchange you either. Like, this game is like 4 hours long, and it's got a lot of stuff. You got unique bosses and enemies right through the whole game. It's
the hallmark of Treasure. They don't. It's like certain other developers. I feel like, although they're very good developers, but they have no problem being like, yes, like a palette swapped version of the guy you fought like before.
Right, like
deal with it. Yeah. It's like, who cares? Like, it's still fun, right? If the game's good enough, it's true. But this game actually, they go the extra mile. It's like,
there's some other stuff in there. I'm going to spoil this one. I have to do it because it's really good. You got an item that actually lets you disguise yourself as a monster, and then you can talk to the monsters. That's in there. They won't attack you. You disguise yourself as like an orcman, and you actually can talk to the monsters and stuff. So it just keeps being strange. It's just
pretty cool
out there. So I gotta say,
can we just set this again to the side? Don't rank it. Just say play it.
No, we rank things and then we're wrong, and that's the way it works. So
fine, let's be really wrong. Number 1.
No, you don't even. You know what? That's it. You don't get to rank this game. Everyone else gets to rank this game. You don't.
Oh, what difference?
So at 294, we have Silhouette Mirage. I'm just going with treasure games, just the bounce of the treasure games at the moment.
Actually, I like this one more in Silhouette Mirage.
Yeah, they didn't mess with the difficulty as far as I'm aware with this one, so...
Well, Silhouette Mirage, we've discussed, also has problems beyond the messed up difficulty, I'm afraid.
And so then you can bump it up a little bit. 286, The Immortal. Now...
Yep.
I gotta put it above The Immortal.
Yeah,
although
me too.
I respect The Immortal for being just so, just balls to the wall crazy, but it's, its quivering ball ratio is shockingly low,
Yeah, between...
It doesn't have a lot of, it's like, the thing about The Immortal is that, like, once you've finished it, it's kind of like, it's punishing, but it's very short, and...
Yeah, like...
It's kind of like, the cool parts are sort of... You gotta give it to The Immortal for the punch-out style combat stuff, which is pretty cool. It's a cool innovation, a cool, blending of the dungeon crawler and action game in a way that, it frankly deserves more credit for. But if you're going to take that out of it, I feel like this is...
I mean, there's 30 minutes of good game in The Immortal. I think you get a little bit more in light brick.
Yeah, it's more that it's just like Crusader. It's more like you just get sort of done with it. I think it's just a little bit too long.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me about Light Crusader is that, as I said, I really feel like the bit where you go to all the interesting, fun, alternate places is way too late in the game. Like, that's in, like, the last, like, 40 minutes of the game, basically. Like, the last hour, last 40 minutes is where they're like, oh, here's 8 different tile sets and a bunch of other random crap. And it's like, what? Why now? Why not when I was bored 2 hours ago?
If this is a game where, like, a medieval swordsman fights a tank, you should probably, like, advertise that pretty close to the front of the game. Like,
yeah, you put that on the cover. You've got, like, your guy's like, whoa, and there's a tank in the background.
Should be a guy just, like, on top of a tank just whacking it with a sword.
Yeah, but everyone would get it mixed up with Gain Ground. And
I really like Gain Ground.
Me too.
Can we put it above Shadow Man?
Always.
Shadow Man was interesting, but okay, that's fair.
Where are we now?
Above Dragon
280.
Force. I like Dragon Force too much.
Well, it's a good thing everyone else is here. I mean, I gotta put this one, at the very least, 274 is Super C. It's gotta go above Super C. I don't care enough about Super C.
I'd be putting it at just for the, like, it's a treasure game. It's pretty well made. It's a very late Mega Drive game. It's got a lot going for it in terms of just uniqueness. This is why I want to put it a little bit on the higher side. And so I kind of want to say, like, it's not quite, I got to put it above, like, Jet Force Gemini. And, so that's bumping it up a little bit.
Here's an idea, okay? How about between Sega Sonic the Hedgehog and Gallius?
Where's that? That's a little bit lower.
That's 265.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So, I think it's better than Sega Sonic the Hedgehog.
Poor Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. It's trying so hard.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Always sticking it to it.
It's better than Bad Day on the Midway.
It's just like, it's better than Tapper. It's better than Tales of the Abyss. Tales of Abyss.
Naturally.
Blaster Master is a tough one, but it's better than Lunar. It's better than Saga Frontier.
I mean, it's better.
Star Tropics, G.I. Joe Transantarctica, that's where I'm starting to wonder whether it's...
You could compare it a lot to Star Tropics. I don't know if it's better than that.
I don't think it is better than Star Tropics. So, I have to say that's my ceiling. Star Tropics is just like, it seems more derivative of Zelda, but it's actually not because of the way the movement works, right? Like, there's like the hopping stuff and...
I think the irony of this game is that it's bloated, essentially. Like, this game could be leaner. It's a dungeon game, so it really wants to be a longer game. But by the result of it being longer, it doesn't add anything except make it a longer game. Like, all of the wandering around the dungeon, all of the tedium.
That's where they add in the ninjas and the tanks and I mean, at least they're like, well, if we're going to make the game that much longer, like, let's go nuts. Let's
seem to remember there's some beat 'em up that has like 6 levels of the same enemy over and over again. So
that sounds like half of them.
Like
I can't pinpoint what game you're talking about there because that's a lot.
There's a lot of them. Yeah.
I did that on purpose. Yes.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Well, good.
Like,
I do want to like this game, but I wouldn't go back to it personally. Like, I'm not personally gonna reopen this game to play it anymore. Like, I
just don't understand how. Jammer Lammy ended up so, I guess because it's not Parappa, maybe. All right, look, what about below Blaster Master, above Tales of Abyss?
I'm okay with that.
Don't think I'm going to talk you down right below Tales of Abyss.
Probably not, because you're the only maniac that likes that game.
It's missing an article, man. It should be Tales of the Abyss, and it's not.
Well, I played the game 7 times to find the article, so I promise you it's not there.
Is the game set in Abyss?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, well then it can be Tales of Abyss.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be.
Well, the whole game like revolves around being this big abyss.
Do you kill teleporting ninjas and do they drop baguettes?
Yeah, actually.
They do?
You'd have to don't do it. You have to play Tales of Abyss to find out. It's a trap.
Are you serious? I'm not like really.
Give me a second. I'm trying to remember if this game has ninjas in it. I'm pretty sure there are ninjas in Tales of Abyss. Yeah.
But do they drop baguettes when you kill baguettes?
All Tales games have food in them, so it's quite possible that they drop baguettes.
Does it have a tank?
I don't know what to think now. That's what I like about when you kill the ninjas in this game. They'll drop. I saw them dropping fish. Kind of makes sense. not cooked fish, just
orcs
like a whole
were
fish.
dropping baguettes.
They drop eggs, which I guess, again, maybe that's like part of their ninja training. Like, don't break the egg. Like, kill these dudes and don't break the egg. And but they also drop baguettes.
So I could see ninjas dropping baguettes in like the 1800s sort of period. You know, you got to get late ninja period after the Dutch have shown up with the bread. Then they can have baguettes. It might even be set during that time period, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah.
For all we know, it is.
No, I'm pretty sure that happens in Tales of Abyss, yeah.
Okay, well...
Don't worry, I'm still putting it above Tales of Abyss. This is a completely
all right, great, that's where it goes. So,
damn it!
It's the new 260 as of this recording. I don't know why we announced the numbers as if it's going to be the same thing by the time.
It's almost never a different... It's almost always a different number. Like, haven't we ranked a completely
so
other
there it goes,
game already?
Between Blaster Master and Tales of Abyss, like Crusader, I almost say Crusader Ascenti again. Thank you, Jay-Z Bad Blood, for your 5-star review on iTunes. And remember, if you want us to play a crazy game that you love, and you want us to do it as soon as we possibly can, that's how you do it. 5-star review on iTunes. We'll get to it within 8 months or your money back.
Oh, don't say that.
Well, the podcast is free.
What if they're on our Patreon? Please join the Patreon, and then we won't give
Join the Patreon.
Join the Patreon, no money back.
Yeah.
No money back. No money back. All sales are final. That's all for this episode. Special thanks goes out to our lovely co-hosts and compatriots, our booking agent Jeff Rude, our theme song MC Norm, check him out at Normally Retro on Twitter, and our technical assistant, video editor, and scriptwriter Ed Burns. You can support this podcast by making a small monthly donation at patreon.com/HG101. I know, I did. By subscribing to the HG101 YouTube channel, and by following at GC9X and at HG_101 on Twitter. You can also hang out with us at our Discord channel. It's at bit.ly/HG Discord. But most importantly, help us spread the love of games by getting on iTunes, subscribing to HG101, and giving us a 5-star review. Do it because you like us and you want us to succeed. Until next time, keep keeping it real.